How many of you have bad days at work as a nurse practitioner or a medical provider? Let's be honest. How many of you have bad days at work? How many of you feel like more bad days than good days at work as a nurse practitioner or a medical provider? How many of you feel like you spend the majority of your time of your day seeing patients and feeling like all over the place, feeling that your attention is being pulled in a different million directions, a different million things you have to do? How many of you are sick and tired of feeling like maybe you made a career mistake in your life, that someone should have warned you how stressful, how challenging, even how dreadful some days are in practicing medicine? And maybe there are some days that you dream of an easier life, maybe even working as a barista, serving coffee at Starbucks. If this is you, this is for you. If you said yes to any of this, this video is for you. If you're new here, hi, I am Nicole. I'm a rheumatology nurse practitioner, and I help nurse practitioners and other medical providers make medicine meaningful and wake up excited to go to work and see patients. If you said yes to any of these questions, I want you to know that you are not alone. You are far from alone. In fact, according to the AMA, the American Medical Association, about 40% of physicians actually question their career decision. And for nurse practitioners, that number runs around 14%, according to studies. So, first of all, if you feel this way, you are in very good company. Now, I want to tell you a story. Let's talk about this. I'm going to tell you a story. So, I'm a mom and I have a 3-year-old son, and he loves playing with water. We were a couple of days ago, we were playing in the backyard because the weather was so nice, and he loves playing with water. I got out little buckets and bowls, and he was playing with water and food coloring, and would take a dropper and put a couple drops of food coloring in different colors in different bowls and fill them with water, and he'd mix it with a straw, and he loved seeing the different colors he could make with the food coloring. And when we were done and we had to clean up, I took all the the water with the food coloring, and I poured it over our plants. We have a couple fruit trees in our backyard, and I poured it over the fruit trees. You don't want to waste water, right? And you know what? Dirty water does not stop plants from growing. Dirty water does not stop plants from growing. Plants will still drink up all the nutrients, all the good stuff it needs from the water, and use it for photosynthesis. Do you remember photosynthesis from middle school, maybe grade school, from science class, right? Photosynthesis is the process where plants and trees, they take the sunlight and they use it to synthesize food from water and carbon dioxide. And plants don't discriminate against dirty water, against water that has food coloring, water that isn't pure and clean. From my it's the plants will still grow, trees will still grow from water with food coloring that my son played with his art activity. And the thing is, plants grow, period. Plants grow, period. End of sentence. That is it. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Plants grow slowly, trees grow slowly, but they still grow. And they choose what they grow with. For example, if you're standing next to a fruit tree and it's a baby tree, it's a sapling, it hasn't borne fruit, it hasn't sprouted out and made beautiful leaves and a trunk, and if you stand next to your baby fruit tree and you yell at it, "Grow, grow tree, I want some apples, hurry up and grow." Is your fruit tree going to grow faster? Of course not. No, your apple tree is not going to grow faster because you yelling at the plant, at the tree, is not part of the photosynthesis process. Plants selectively grow by using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Those are the 3 things, and that's it. Everything else, plants filter out. Trees filter that out. That is just noise. You yelling doesn't contribute to its growth. So plants don't absorb that. They ignore it. In fact, did you know that apple trees can take up to 6 years to bear fruit for the very first time? Its first fruit. Apple trees can take up to 6 years to bear fruit. But you know what? That time passes, and in 6 years, you have this beautiful apple tree, and the tree can feed you. You can pluck this beautiful ripe red apple. It's juicy, it's flavorful, it tastes so good, it's full of good nutrients. The tree is so large that it provides shade for you, that you can read a book underneath and relax, maybe take a nap in the summer. And the tree is so strong and so massive that you could hang a tire swing on it and make beautiful childhood memories from it. We can learn a lot from plants. Dirty water does not stop plants from growing. The other day, I had a really tough day at the clinic. I had a lot of tough, complex patient cases. And, sometimes there are days where I don't receive a compliment. And there are even days where patients yell at me. I'll be honest. There are days that patients yell at me, whether it's in person, whether it's on a phone call, whether it's over a message, an electronic message on the electronic health portal. Patients will yell at me. There are some days that it happens. And, on those days, it is so easy to let your feelings slip into that attitude of, no one cares what I do. No one values me. No one values all the work I put in, all the medical decision makings I make, try to help my patients. What is the point of all this? What is the purpose? Why am I doing all of this? But the truth is, those dirty water days are beautiful opportunities in your life. They're beautiful opportunities in your life because you get to choose how you interpret those days. You can choose whether to let those negative words stop your growth. And, some days, some seasons of life are meant for growth, and some seasons of life are meant for harvesting and reaping what you sowed. Plants, when a plant grows, they need time. They need time to grow. Remember how I said an apple tree takes up to 6 years to bear fruit for the very first time. And just because a plant doesn't bear the fruit, you cannot see the fruit hanging off its branches, it doesn't mean that the tree is not growing. It doesn't mean that the plant or the tree is not working on the growth. And uh you cannot reap the same season that you can sorry, let me say it again. You cannot reap and harvest the same time that you plant the seed and grow it. You don't reap what you sow the day you plant the seed. There are seasons, there are cycles for planting, for growing, and for harvesting and reaping what you sowed. I shared this on my Instagram recently, which, by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, what are you doing? You got to follow me on Instagram. I'm on there every day. The handle is at it's Nicole, the NP. And I shared it on Instagram recently, and I'll tell you how I personally interpret my dirty water days. This is how I see it. And this works for me. If this works for you, take it. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. At least you heard another person's opinion. But this is what works for me. When I'm in those, I'm using air quotes if you're listening to the podcast. When I am in those dirty water days, I see it as I get the chance to feel human. I get this beautiful chance to feel human, because to feel human means to experience the emotional highs and lows, the emotional ups and downs. And some days are emotional highs, emotional ups, where patients say how much they value me. And I feel like I'm actually making a difference in my patients' lives, and I'm making some small impact in the world. And there are some days where there are emotional lows and emotional downs, when I don't feel appreciated. And it's a beautiful thing to feel the lows, because if you feel the lows, you feel the highs. The opposite. You cannot feel the highs without the lows. That what's defined high is because it's opposite of low. And Now, I do have a word of caution on this story. What if you mostly feel emotional lows? What if you always, for the most part, you feel emotional lows? What if you have more lows than highs? What if you have more bad days than good? And, let's just be honest, that is not something sustainable for anyone. It's like saying that you made $1 today, but you go out to the grocery store and you spend $2 to buy bread. That's a deficit, right? You can't make $1 but spend $2, right? You're giving more than you're replenishing. And, you know, do you hardly feel joy at work? Do you hardly ever feel joy at work? You feel like do you feel like you cannot seem to find that excited, youthful, younger version of you that was so excited to go into medicine back in your days, back in your training and schooling days? Do you ever look in the mirror and honestly don't recognize the person looking back at you? And sometimes you think, how did I get here? Who am I? Who is this depressed version of me that just cannot seem to find any joy in life anymore? Do you feel absolutely bone weary, exhausted from your work as a medical provider, as a nurse practitioner? And, what's happening is that you're giving away so much of yourself, but you're not refilling your own cup. You're not replenishing your own cup. I'm going to give you an example. So, I drink a lot of water throughout the day. I mean, we all know water is really important. If you're listening on the podcast, I am showing my Owala water bottle. I love this water bottle. I bought it at Target, gosh, over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I love this thing. This thing is so great. It's so sturdy. It really keeps my water cool and insulated. I think it's a 24-ounce water bottle. And I bought this before the trend. I think this is trending on TikTok right now. After the Stanley Cup, I'm not sure, but I bought this way before the trend. It's a fantastic water bottle. It has a handle, it has a spout, has a spring so that I don't have to touch the spout to open it to get my spout all dirty with my hands. And it keeps my water cool. And I love it. And I go through maybe 3 or 4 bottles of these every day. I am drinking water all the time and I refill my water bottle at work, at home, wherever I am. And it keeps me hydrated. It keeps me energized. I do pee a lot with this, I'll be honest with you, but you know what? My urine is clear or almost clear, so I know my kidneys are happy. And as medical providers, it's kind of the same thing. You are constantly giving parts of yourself away. You're constantly giving away your energy, your brain power, all the medical decision makings you make. So much brain energy goes into that. And it can feel really exhausting. And at the end of the day, sometimes it feels like your brain hurts, right? Right? Like if you're watching on the replay, like raise your hand if you feel this way, because I definitely feel this way. My brain, if if my brain could hurt, my brain hurts at the end of the day. Like all the decisions I've made and you feel exhausted. Maybe you want to collapse after a long shift. But the only way to really survive and to thrive in this way is to fill your cup simultaneously, not at the end of the day. If you're working as a medical provider and you're seeing patients like back to back to back and all the stress with it, the challenges, the documentations, staying on the phone, getting prior authorizations done, peer to peers to get a MRI approved for your patient, whatever, that is exhausting work. And if you're doing this for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, it feels like it's just a race to the finish line without coming up for air, without taking a breather, taking a break, without filling your cup. And it's really exhausting. And the thing is, doing that over and over and over without replenishing and filling your cup in the middle of the day as you feel these challenges, that's what can lead to burnout by doing this over and over again, this pattern. But the only way to thrive as a medical provider in this modern era of fast paced medicine, go, 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 fast paced medicine, is to fill your cup simultaneously during your day. to ensure that for every deficit, for every erosion against your well-being, for all the challenges you hit, for every single challenge, that you are replenishing yourself. Just like I'm refilling my water bottle, just like plants are constantly absorbing sunlight, CO2, water from the ground. And there's a way to do this in medicine, I promise you. And that's why the Knockout Burnout Masterclass is all about. I want you to learn how to save lives without questioning your career decision, without feeling like a robot treating patients on an assembly line in a warehouse, or suffering from bone weary exhaustion in your veins, in your body. In fact, I had a nurse practitioner. Her name is Carla, and I recently worked with her. And after a few hours with her, she did something so amazing. She did something that caused a 4-year-old girl, reach out and give her a huge bear hug. And after that patient and her parents left, Carla turned to me and exclaimed, "I don't remember the last time a patient hugged me. Thank you so much. I'm going to do what you just taught me. I'm going to do it all the time." And I can tell you this, Carla, this girl, she's got a little pep in her step now when she goes to work. And she looks forward to going to work now. You all work so hard as nurse practitioners, as medical providers, and knocking out burnout is not just about practicing mindfulness or stepping away from the situation, taking a breath, stepping off the situation if a patient yells at you. That's just band-aids. Those are just band-aids just to kind of like band-aid over the situation. But it's really about building a life you love. And it's about transforming you into the version of yourself that can leverage all the micro moments in your day during work to fill your cup and create moments with your patients where they feel excited to see you and exclaim, "You're my favorite doctor." Because I get patients who tell me that. The Knockout Burnout Masterclass will give you the skill set to know how to fill your cup simultaneously throughout your day. When you've maybe spent an exhausting hour on the phone getting a peer-to-peer to get an MRI approved for your patient. What that means for you is that you can instantly know how to turn those dirty water days into days of planting and growing so that you can reap and harvest what you've planted and grew. But the real value for you is that you can look at yourself in the mirror and know for a fact that the person staring back at you is living a life they love. Because going home and placing your head on the pillow and going to sleep and feeling like you're living a life that you love, that's what you want, right? I think that's what we all want. So I invite you to join and register for the Knockout Burnout Masterclass. The next round is this Thursday, May 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link is down below in the description box or the show notes. I invite you to join and to learn how to fill your cup and thrive in this modern era of medicine as a nurse practitioner or a medical provider. I hope this episode was helpful. I love you all. If you took away one thing from this, just remember that those dirty water days, plants still grow. Dirty water does not stop plants from growing. Do not let those dirty water days stop you from growing. All right. I love you all, and I will see you all next time. Bye.